So we'll start from, resume our discussion from third canto, first chapter, verse 21. Tatrartha sushrava surda vinastim vanam yatha vinuja vahini samshrayam sampradaya athanusochan saraswatim pratayag iyajatushnim. At the place of pilgrimage at Prabhas, it came to his knowledge that all his relatives had died due to violent passion. Just as an entire forest burns down due to fire produced by the friction of bamboos. After this, he proceeded west where the river Saraswati flows. So we are talking about the pilgrimage of Mahatma Vidur. Previously, we had seen the circumstances that led to his leaving Hastinapur. And then after he left Hastinapur, he was traveling freely. And he was on pilgrimage for a long time. So this is talking about his one of the legs of his pilgrimage, where he reaches Prabhas Kshetra. So Prabhas Kshetra is on the westmost corner of India. It's in Gujarat, right by the Arabian Sea. And it says that after this, he proceeded west, where the river Saraswati flows. So, it's difficult for him to go west from there because he is already there at the coast. And one understanding is that what it means that he was on the shore of the river Saraswati that flows westwards. Could also mean that he traveled to some degree west. So may not have traveled hundreds of miles, but perhaps travel a few miles further west towards the coastal area. So the main information that he received at Prabhas was that his relatives had died due to violent passion. So this is essentially the Mahabharat war. So he had left before the battle was fought and he was traveling. So now he found out that the battle has been completed and almost everybody in the Kuru dynasty has been killed. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that this analogy of fire produced by the friction of bamboos is very relevant because of the nature of this material world. That there is so much of passion, there is so much of temper that because of any reason, enmity or war happens. And because of that, there is huge destruction. Then he says, such a worldly fire can be extinguished only by the water of the mercy cloud of the Vaishnavas, of the saints, just as the forest fire can be extinguished only by the rains falling from a cloud. So this is Prabhupada quoting from our, even though it doesn't explicitly say, but he's quoting from our famous phrase, Sansara Dhava Nal Nira Loka, that it is only the It is only the mercy of the Guru that can extinguish this fire of material existence. Okay, next verse, 22. Tasyam trita yoshanasho manascha prithurathagner asitasya vayo tirtam sudasya govam guhasya yajradhadevasya sashishve. On the bank of the river Saraswati, there were 11 places of pilgrimage, namely Trita, Ushan, Manu, Prithu, Agni, Asit, Vayu, Sudash, Go, Guha, and Shraddhadev. Vidur visited all of them and duly performed rituals. So these are 11 prominent places of pilgrimage on the banks of the river Saraswati. And Prabhas is considered to be located at the confluence of 3 rivers, Saraswati, Kapila, and Hiranya. Now, Saraswati no longer exists. So at some point, it disappeared. So a lot of the places that are associated with Saraswati also do not exist. But this is the situation 5,000 years ago. Next verse. Anyani chehadvija deva devaha kritani nanyatani vishnaho pratayanga mukhyankito mandirani yadarshanat krishnam anusmaranti. There were also many other temples of various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, established by great sages and demigods. These temples were marked with the chief emblems of the Lord, and they reminded one always of the original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So Prabhupada comments that the sages and the devas, he calls them Dvija Deva, or rather Sukdev Goswami calls them Dvija Deva, they construct these temples for the benefit of people in general, so that they can make spiritual advancement in the association of like-minded people. And the temples are built with elaborately tall spires. They are known as shikharas. And the reason was that people could see the shikharas from a really far distance. And the shikharas on the top would have an emblem of Lord Vishnu, generally a chakra. And there are benedictions that are given that one who offers obeisances to chakra does not have to face the time aspect of existence. So, so Prabhupada says that Lord Vishnu in his various forms, such as Govinda, Madhusudan, Narsimha, Madhav, Keshav, Narayan, Padmana, Parthasarathi, and many others, are established in the temple, and then they're worshipped when they're worshipped in the four-armed form. They have the Shankar, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So this is the conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. And Prabhupada says that out of these four, Krishna. So this is Lord Vishnu. Krishna keeps only one, which is the Sudarshan Chakra, and that is why Krishna is also known as Chakri. So the Lord's chakra is the symbol of power by which the Lord controls the whole manifestation. The tops of the Vishnu temples are marked with the symbol of the wheel so that people may have a chance to see the symbol from a very long distance and at once remember Lord Krishna. Verse 24. Tatastvati vrajya surashtaram radam saurev matsyan kurujangalamscha kalena tavad yamunanamupetya tatrodhavam bhagavatam dadarsha. Thereafter, he passed through very wealthy provinces like Surat, Sauvira, and Matsya, and through Western India known as Kuru jungle. At last, he reached the bank of the Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhav, the great devotee of Lord Krishna. So Vidur, after taking a bath in Prabhas in river Saraswati, hearing the news of the demise of the Kurus, is now continues to travel on the pilgrimage. And he travels to Surat, Saurabhya, Matsya, Kurujang, and then he meets Uddhav. So Srila Prabhupada says that the tract of land comprising about 100 square miles from modern Delhi to the Mathura district in Uttar Pradesh, including a portion of the Gurgaon district in Punjab, East India, is considered to be the topmost place of pilgrimage in all of India. So this is essentially the broad area of the 84 krosas, the Vrindavan, the Vraj Dham. And specifically, it is said that Vidur met Uddhav northwest of Delhi, in the area that is currently known as Gurugram or Gurgaon. So from this one can understand that when his journey started at Prabhas Kshetra, he was traveling in a northeast direction. So he was traveling north and east. So when the verse 21 mentioned that he was traveling west, so we can understand it two ways: that he traveled west and completed his pilgrimage in Somnath, or Prabhat Kshetra, now it's called Somnath. He completed his pilgrimage, then he turned back and started traveling east. Or it could be understood that he was traveling on the banks of the river Saraswati that moves in a westerly direction, because the Saraswati originates from the Himalayas and travels west into the Arabian Sea. So Srila Prabhupada has a very thought-provoking purport, and he's summarizing the whole purpose behind tirthas. That why do people take tirthas? What is the advantage of tirtha? So he says that there are still devotees who are searching for Krishna and his gopas and gopis in Braj Dham, and they're eagerly looking for him. Now they may or may not see Krishna, but the point that Prabhupada makes is very important, that what actually matters is the eagerness to see Krishna. And he says that that is the mystical aspect of going out in tirthas. That when we go out on tirtha, we have this strong desire to associate with the Lord. That is as good as seeing the Lord. And that is what gives us the purification. So it's not that much of the fact that Krishna is residing in these holy places, but what is important is the fact that the people who go to these holy places have a strong desire to see Krishna. And Prabhupada says that eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as his seeing him personally. How this is so cannot be explained, but it is factually realized by those who are pure devotees of the Lord. And then he says, philosophically, you can understand that smarana, is one of the angas of bhakti. So when one is executing smaran, then one is performing devotional service, and by the power of the devotional service, one gets access to Krishna. And then he says there is another advantage of going to this tirthas, which is the fact that you are in the association of like-minded people who are also searching for Krishna. The environment is also conducive for spiritual advancements. So he gives the example that in Vrindavan, even to this day, so he's writing about 50 years ago, but this is true even now. He says that right from the early morning time, people are rushing to Mangal Aarti. And then they have different Aartis, and there are people who will rush for the evening Aarti, and everywhere there is Radha Radha written, and there are temples everywhere. There is deity paraphernalia everywhere. So anytime, anywhere you look, you will be reminded of Krishna. People are wearing tilak. The restaurant over there are called as Govindas or Brajbasi or different names. So even though they're commercial purpose, but everything over there is designed to remind you of Krishna's, he says, name, fame, quality, form, pastimes, and entourage. And they are all identical to the Lord. So that is the glory of going to a tirtha. Next verse. Savasudeva anucharam prashantam brahaspate praktanyam pratitam alingyagadam pranayena bhadram swanam aprachat bhagavad prajanam. Then, due to his great love and feeling, Vidur embraced him, Uddhav, who was a constant companion of Lord Krishna and formerly a great student of Brihaspati's. Vidur then asked him for news of the family of Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. So in the previous verse, it ended that at last he reached the bank of Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhav, the great devotee of Lord Krishna. So this verse says, what did he do? He says, with great love and feeling, Vidur embraced him, Uddhav. And Prabhupada mentions that this interaction is to some extent in accordance with the status. So Vidur is like a father to Uddhav. And when they met, then out of respect, Uddhav bowed down before Vidur, and Vidur embraced him like a son. So, so this was more according to social etiquette. Then Vidur also asked him for the welfare of his family. And Vidur has already been to Prabhas Kshetra, so he already knows that the Yadus have departed. He already knows that Krishna has departed. So what is the need for him to ask about the welfare of Uddhav's family, which is essentially the Yadu? So Prabhupada says that Vidur asked Uddhav about the welfare of his relatives, although he already knew that they were all no longer in the world. This inquiry appears to be very, very queer. But Srila Jiva Goswami states that the news was shocking to Vidur, and who therefore inquired again due to great curiosity. Thus, his inquiry was psychological and not practical. So this was a sense of disbelief, that even though, so sometimes when the news is so cataclysmic, that it completely bewilders you, then the person tends to ask again and again. So this was Vidur's situation, that he was still trying to come to terms of for the disappearance of Krishna and the Yadus. So while he knew it as a fact, he wanted to understand more about it. So Prabhupada said this inquiry was psychological. It was coming from an emotional platform, and it was not really information gathering. So Uddhava is being introduced in these two verses, and a little bit of description of Uddhava. So Uddhava is considered to be a Nitya Siddha, an eternal associate of Krishna. So it is described that even when he was a child of 5 years, he was so absorbed in playing with toys that represented Krishna that he would neglect to eat. He had to be called. So right from his birth, he was an exalted devotee. It is also understood that Uddhava expands into one of the Vasus, who are demigods, and the same Vasu then enters into Uddhava when Uddhava descends to participate in Krishna's Leela. So the Uddhava that is there in Dwarka is the eternal Uddhava and the demigod who is one of the Vasus. So Uddhava is also described as a constant companion of Krishna in Mathura and Dwarka. He is considered to be very, very intelligent. So much so that he was actually taught by Brahaspati himself. And many times we see Krishna glorifying the intelligence and the counsel of Uddhava. So how is Uddhava related to Krishna? So Krishna's father, Vasudeva, had a brother by the name of Devabhag. And Uddhava is the son of Devabhag. So Uddhava is Krishna's paternal cousin. So just like Arjun is Krishna's maternal cousin. So Vasudeva's sister is Kunti Devi, and Arjun is the son of Kunti. So he is Krishna's maternal cousin. Uddhava is Krishna's paternal cousin. Uddhava was born and raised in Mathura. And he was amongst the first of the Yaduvamshis who befriended Krishna when he came to Mathura from Vrindavan. So it is said that Uddhava and Krishna were in complete contrast to each other in terms of temperament. So Uddhava was a city person, born and raised in Mathura. And Krishna was a village boy, born and raised in Vrajdham. Uddhava was highly educated. He was taught by Brahaspati. Krishna had only 64 days of education at the ashram of Sandipani Muni. Now it's different that Krishna is God, but just in terms of the manifest qualities. Uddhava was when Kamsa was oppressing, Uddhava was quietly tolerating. Krishna came and killed Kamsa. So Krishna was a warrior. He was a Kshatriya. And Uddhava was, even though he was in the Kshatriya clan, he was Brahmanical. But they were very close associates. And Uddhava was so close to Krishna that he looked like Krishna. When Uddhava goes to Vrindavan, then the gopis, they looked at Uddhava, they first thought that Krishna had come. When they came closer, then they realized he was not Krishna, but still they treated him with a lot of respect because they could understand that just by his bodily features that he was very close to Krishna. So Uddhava is actually famous for two events. One is his being a messenger to the gopis in Vraj. So Krishna had given him this difficult service of telling the gopis why they should not lament for Krishna, because Krishna is Parabrahman, he is the super soul of everybody. And then, of course, the gopis re-educated Uddhav, but that was Uddhav's service. And his second service was when Krishna's final disappearance happened, and Krishna asked Uddhav to go back to Dwarka and tell everybody that the Yadus have died, Krishna has gone back, and he gave Uddhav instructions about what to do that. So both of the services of Uddhav are associated with separation and pain. The first one was the separation and pain of the gopis, and the second was the separation and pain of the Yadus, and really speaking, the rest of the devotees. The first was beneficial to Uddhav because Krishna separated from the gopis and associated with him, and the second was sorrowful for Uddhav because Krishna left him. In the final pastime of Krishna, he gets, and we will read about this, that he gets many transcendental instructions from Krishna. And then Krishna asks him to go to, after giving his message to Dwarka, he asked him to go to Badrika Ashram and worship Narnarayan there. So, so Krishna says that Uddhav is the foremost of my devotees, beyond the influence of modes, and not even inferior to me. I will entrust him to disseminate knowledge of me on the earth. So this is what Krishna thinks before he gives the instructions to Uddhav. So one of the questions that is asked is this conversation that happens between Vidur and Uddhav, and later on between Vidur and Maitreya. When does it happen in the timeline? Because we also see the conversation between Vidur and Dhritarashtra. So we can construct or try to reconstruct the timeline to understand when did this conversation happens. So we begin at the point where Vidur leaves. He leaves Hastinapur and he goes on an extended pilgrimage. So at this point, the negotiations are happening to avoid the battle. So the battle has still not begun, but Vidur has already left. Now, after Vidur leaves, the battle of Mahabharata is fought and Yudhishthir becomes the emperor. Now, Maharaj Yudhishthir rules for 36 years. For all these 36 years, Vidur remains on pilgrimage. And he is unknown and unseen. Now, at the conclusion of these 36 years, the final pastimes of the Yadus happen. So the Yadus leave the planet. Krishna leaves the planet after instructing Uddhav and Maitreya. After this is the conversation between Uddhav and Vidur. So this is where this conversation is happening. That the battle of Mahabharata has been fought, 36 years have passed, Krishna and the Yadus have departed, Krishna has instructed Uddhav, and then now Uddhav is talking to Vidur. Now, after these conversations, Vidur returns to Hastinapur to talk to Dhritarashtra. So, in the 13th chapter of the first canto, when Vidur is reintroduced in Hastinapur, Sutta Goswami says that while traveling on a pilgrimage, Vidur received knowledge of the destination of the self from the great sage Maitreya and then returned to Hastinapur. So this conversation has happened, and now Vidur goes back to Hastinapur. So he has this conversation with Dhritarashtra. The next day morning, he leaves Hastinapur along with Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Within 5 days, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they leave the bodies, and then Vidur, he continues on his pilgrimage, and at some point of time, leaves his body and resumes his position as Yamraj. Now, after Dhritarashtra leaves, Yudhishthira sends Arjun to Dwarka. Arjun returns after 7 months and informs them of the disappearance of the Yadus. So even though Vidur knew that the Yadus have disappeared and Krishna has disappeared, he does not reveal it to the Pandavas when he returns. So, but Yudhishthira gets an inkling. So that's why he sends Arjun, and Arjun goes to Dwarka, comes back after 7 months. And then after that, the Pandavas also leave. So now we have a more chronological understanding of the timeline of the principal events that we have studied in the Bhagavatam so far. So let me stop here and see if there's any comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The conversation between Uddhav and Mahatma Vidur is called Uddhav Gita as well, no? Uddhava Gita.
The conversation between whom?
Uddhava and Vidur.
Krishna.
Krishna. The conversation between Uddhav and Krishna is called Uddhav Gita.
Okay, that means he tell him again about the Uddhav Gita.
No, so the sequence of that is, so when Krishna was ready to wind up his pastimes, so this is when Krishna is in Dwarka, right? And Vidu and Uddhav, he starts noting a lot of inauspiciousness happening. So he gets a sense that Krishna is ready to leave. So then Uddhav approaches Krishna, and then this famous conversation happens between Krishna and Uddhav in Dwarka, which is called Uddhav Gita. So at the end of that conversation, Krishna tells Uddhav, now you go to Badrika Ashram. So Uddhav disobeys Krishna. So Krishna tells Uddhav, you go to Badrika Ashram, and then Krishna goes to Prabhas Kshetra, and there the Mosal Leela and the final pastimes are enacted. Now, Uddhav should have gone to Badrika Ashram, but he did not. He follows Krishna to Prabhas Kshetra. And there the final conversation between Krishna and Uddhav happens, in which Maitreya Rishi is also present. After that, Krishna once again tells Uddhav that you go to Badrika Ashram. So then Uddhav heads back to Badrika Ashram, and when Vidur is meeting Uddhav, Uddhav was on his way back, is on his way to Badrika Ashram.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, bro.
Okay.
Krishna Prabhu. A lot of stress has been there with Vidur may having his pilgrimage, right? Even after Dhritarashtra gives his body, again he proceeds with the pilgrimage. So what is it for devotees like us to learn from this? Is it related to the pilgrimage? Is it we can have yearly, or few devotees even stay there permanently, move? Like there are several variables, right?
Yes, it's a good question, Prabhu, and I think Srila Prabhupada, that's why went out of the way to glorify the importance of going on pilgrimage. Because the point that is made is that when you're on a pilgrimage, then more important of where you're going and what you're doing is your mood of searching. That you're thinking that today morning I'll get up, I'll take darshan of Radha Govinda Dev, and then in the evening I'll take Radha Raman darshan, and then tomorrow I can go to Govardhan Parikrama. So all the time, that's what your meditation is. How can I one way or the other associate with Krishna and his devotees? And the same thing about living in holy place. That was the second point Prabhupada writes, that the holy places are designed to remind us about the Lord in every way, every form. Whether you see the residence of the holy dham, you see the temples over there, you see the writings on the wall. So whether you like it or not, you will be constantly thinking of Krishna. And that is essentially what bhakti is all about. Now, from a practical perspective, if we cannot go and live in a holy place, we should try and visit it. And practical considerations are important. Prabhupada would say that don't live in Vrindavan for more than 5 days. So from practical consideration, he would make those points that people might become offensive. So just like piety is magnified several times, impiety is also magnified several times in the tirthas. And this is not contradicting the other points Prabhupada is making. The point is making is that if one can establish a proper mood, then that's what one's aspiration should be.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One question, Prabhuji. Like you mentioned that, like after Vidur come and instructing Dhritarashtra, after that, like the Yudhishthir got the hint and sent Arjun to Dwarka. But I heard, Prabhuji, like Arjun was constantly lived there for some time, like, and like you mentioned, 7 months. And I think at the time of Krishna's passing away also, his last moments, Krishna instructed Arjun to take all the women out of Dwarka as inundation comes. So, am I missing something, Prabhuji, or can you please clarify?
It's a good point. Not sure about that. If you read the 14th chapter of the first canto, there the indication is that Arjun was sent by Yudhishthir to inquire about the welfare of Krishna. Now, whether he was sent after Vidur left, or he had sent sometime earlier, that part is not clear. But he does say to Bhima that 7 months have passed since Arjun has departed. There is, as far as I know, there is no record of a conversation between Krishna and Arjun in Dwarka. So this information of Arjun protecting, so Arjun was given the task of, Arjun did the final funerals of or he helped in that, of the Yadus, and then he escorted the wives of Krishna back. Those instructions were given to him via Uddhava. That's my understanding. I could be wrong though.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll continue with verse 26. Kachit Purana Purasho Svanabhya Padmanuvritya Kilavatirnau Asaturvyaha kushalam vidaya krita krishnau kushalam shurage. Please tell me whether the original personalities of Godhead who incarnated themselves at the request of Brahma, who is born out of the lotus flower from the Lord, and who have increased the prosperity of the world by elevating everyone, are doing well in the house of Shurasen. So this now is the Vidur Uddhav Samvad, the conversation, and it will go all the way till the end of the 4th chapter to almost 110 verses will be there in this inquiry, in this conversation. So these beginning 17 verses from 26 to 42 are Vidur's inquiry about the welfare of both the Yadus and the Kurus. And the inquiries are interesting because Vidur does not just ask. So he asks, but he also gives his realization with respect to the personality. And Sukhdev Goswami has put it there because it does two purposes. It establishes the quality of their personality, and of course, it follows through the flow of the conversation. So first thing that Vidur is asking is about Krishna and Balram. And the reason that he starts the conversation with Krishna and Balram is because everything rests on. So one can understand that if Krishna and Balram are happy, everybody is happy. If they are there, everything is prosperous. So he is first asking about the personality of Godhead. Now, one may question that if Vidur is aware of the fact that Krishna is God, then what is the point in asking about his welfare? Because nothing inauspicious could happen to Krishna. And Prabhupada explains that this is out of prema or love. So the same mood that drives Yashoda to feed Krishna, or that drives Balram to be protective about Krishna, knowing the fact that Krishna is the personality of Godhead, same mood Vidur is also displaying. So Vidur also refers to the fact that they incarnated themselves at the request of Brahma to accomplish a mission. So he's implicitly acknowledging that if the mission has been completed, they may have left. Now, of course, he's aware of the fact that they have left. So this is a more subtle indication of his awareness. Verse 27. Kasched kuruna parmaha suhurno bhama saste sukhamanga sauri yovaye swarsana pitrvad dadati varan vadanyo varatarpanena. Please tell me whether the best friend of the Kurus, our brother-in-law Vasudev, is doing well. He is very munificent, and he is like a father to his sisters, and he's always pleasing to his wives. So now he is inquiring about Krishna's father, Vasudev, and he's also enunciating the qualities. Best friend of the Kurus, brother-in-law our brother-in-law, Vasudeva, very munificent, father to his sisters. Prabhupada says that Kunti Devi was younger than Vasudeva. And as an elder brother, he was very affectionate to her and treated her just like a daughter. And towards his wives also, he was very, very affectionate, always looking to them to keep them peaceful. So Bhama means brother-in-law, and it's a little. So how is Vasudeva Vidur's brother-in-law? And Vishwanath Chakravarti and Prabhupada explain it to three different channels. So first, Prabhupada says that Rohini is the sister of Vidur. Now, it's not clear how she is. There must be some relationship, but somehow Prabhupada says Rohini is the sister of Vidur, and Rohini is the wife of Vasudeva. Therefore, Vasudeva is Vidur's brother-in-law. Then the second, which again Prabhupada explains briefly, is that Kunti Devi is married to Pandu, who is the elder brother of Vidur. That means Kunti Devi is Vidur's sister-in-law. Now Vasudeva is the brother of Kunti Devi, which means that Vasudeva is the brother of the sister-in-law of Vidur, which means that Vasudeva is the brother-in-law of Vidur. It sounds like a mathematical equation. And the final one which Vishwanath Chakravarti gives is really roundabout, but since he has given it and Prabhupada talks about it, I'll mention it. So he says that Kunti Devi is the sister-in-law of Vidur. Devaki is the sister-in-law of Kunti Devi, which means that Devaki is the sister-in-law of Kunti Devi, who is the sister-in-law of Vidur, which means that Devaki is the sister-in-law of Vidur, which means that Devaki's husband is the brother-in-law of Vidur, which means Vasudeva is the brother-in-law of Vidur. So this will be an exam question. So my guess is one reason the acharyas talk about it is because it gives us an opportunity to meditate on all these great personalities. So we have talked about Devaki and Kunti Devi and Rohini and Vasudeva and Vidur, just in this one word, which is Bhama. So this word Bhama has allowed us to meditate on all these great personalities. Okay, next verse, 28. Kachit varuthadipati yadunam pradyumnaste sukhamangavira yam rukmani bhagavato bali behe ara devipran smarana disarge. O Uddhav, please tell me, how is Pradyumna, the commander-in-chief of the Yadus, who was Cupid in a former life? Rukmini bore him as her son from Lord Krishna by the grace of Brahmanas, whom she pleased. So now Vidur is asking about Pradyumna, the son of Krishna and Rukmini. General etiquette is that when one makes an inquiry, one follows the order of seniority by age. But we see that Vidur is not. And understanding is that because this is an emotional time for Vidur, he is not following any particular order. So he talks about the fact that Pradyumna appeared by the grace of the Brahmanas. So this points to the fact that Rukmini Devi used a Brahman to send a message to Krishna to kidnap her, and then he married her, and then Pradyumna was born. So by the grace of that Brahman. And it also means that both Krishna and Rukmini, they made it a practice to serve the Brahmins. So they would give in charity, they would welcome the Brahmins. So because of the blessings, Pradyumna was born. In Hari Bhakti, in Hari Vamsa Puran, it is actually said that when Rukmini asked Krishna for a son, then Krishna actually went to Lord Shiva, and then he performed austerities over there. And Lord Shiva then came, and it's a very interesting exchange that when Lord Shiva came, that Krishna first prayed to Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva recites these beautiful prayers to Krishna. He gives so many names to Krishna, and he gives the meaning of the name. He glorifies Krishna, and then he talks about how worship to Krishna includes worship to him. And then, of course, he blesses. So the reason he goes to Shiva is because Pradyumna is an incarnation of Kamadev, and Kamadev had been burned by Lord Shiva. So there's another pastime in which Lord Shiva was performing austerities, and the Devas wanted Lord Shiva to marry Parvati. So Parvati Devi was serving Lord Shiva, but Shiva was not being disturbed from his austerities. So then they sent Kamadev, and then Kamadev was trying to shoot his arrows at Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva got upset at him, and then he burnt him. So that's why one of Kamadev's name is Anaga, one who doesn't have a body. And so that's where Krishna went to get the benedictions of Lord Shiva. This is in Harivamsa Puran. It's not there in the Bhagavatam. So one of the points that is also to be noted is that, and this will appear in the later when Vidur refers to other personalities that he will inquire about, that Vidur will also try and establish their identity. So when he's talking about Pradyumna, he is saying that he was Kamadev, and he also will say that for the other personalities, like he'll say Devaki and Vasudeva are Prishni and Sutapa. So the acharyas try to explain this, and what they say is that the personalities who were there in Dwarka are actually the eternal associates of Krishna. They did not, they were Nitya Siddhas, and they descended along with Krishna. But along with the Nitya Siddhas, the Devas also expanded, and as their Amshas, they entered into this Nitya Siddhas. So for instance, Pradyumna is Lord Vishnu. He's one of the Chaturvyas. He is Vishnu Tattva, the personality of Godhead. So when he's saying that Pradyumna is Kamadev, then he is referring to that Amsha that is present within Pradyumna. So, so Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Kamadev is actually a Vibhuti expansion of Pradyumna. Vibhuti means just a jiva. Just, I'm not to minimize his position, but Vibhuti means jiva tattva, that he has been empowered with a quality by a Vibhuti, but essentially a jiva tattva. So Prabhupada says, according to Jiva Goswami, Smara, Cupid or Kamdev, is one of the eternal associates of Lord Krishna. Jiva Goswami has explained this very elaborately in his Krishna Sandarbha. So the question that is being asked here is that why is Vidur talking about the Devas? And the understanding is that this has been done in order to create astonishment within their human pastimes. So in verse 30, it will be mentioned that Jambavati performed austerities to get Kartikeya as her son. Similarly, in the present statement, Vidur states that Rukmini received Pradyumna as a result of pleasing the Brahmanas. So these statements are made to create a sense of astonishment that these are Nityasiddhas who are performing these human-like pastimes. Because essentially Rukmini and Jambavati, they're both Swarup Shakti. They don't need to perform sadhana, and especially to receive demigods as their children. Right? So one can understand that these statements are being made, firstly, to glorify the Devas who have been given this opportunity to participate in Krishna's pastime. And secondly, as was mentioned, is to refer to the human-like pastimes of these Nityasiddhas, of these eternally liberated souls, and in that mood glorify their connection with the Devas. So because there are those who are more attached to the Devas than to Krishna. There are those who are more attached to Kartik than to Anirudh. Or there are more who are more attached to Kamadev than to Pradyumna. So when these amshas are glorified, then it also attracts the mind of those people. So these verses have to be looked at in that context, that the associates of Krishna are eternal, Nityasiddhas. They came with him. Along with them, the amshas of the demigods also came. Now, in almost all the cases, these Nityasiddhas had some prior connection with these demigods. Like Kamdev is considered to be a vibhuti of Pradyumna. Vasu is considered to be an expansion of Uddhav. So there's always some prior connection there. And when they're addressed, more often than not, they are addressed as the demigod. And the reason is these two: to glorify the demigods and to attract the minds of those who are more attached to the demigods than Krishna. And for the devotees, it's just meant to create wonder and astonishment that these eternal associates of Krishna are interacting with the demigods in such wonderful ways to serve the Lord. Okay. Next verse, 29. Kachit sukham satva Vishnibhoja Dasarakhanam Adipasaste Yam Abhyashinacha Chatapatra Netro Nripashanasham Parihritya Durat. Oh, my friend, tell me whether Ugrasen, the king of the Satvats, Vrishnis, Bhojas, and Dasaras, is now doing well. He went far away from his kingdom, leaving aside all hopes to his royal throne. But Lord Krishna again installed him. So the dynasty of Krishna is generally referred to as Yaduvamsha because it points to the oldest common ancestor, which is Maharaj Yadu, who is the son of Yayati. But we see that over time, the dynasty has split into several subclans. And these subclans are identified by prominent personalities who were their originators. So that's why the Satvats, the Vrishnis, the Bhojas, the Dasars, these were all kings who appeared at different points of time within the Yaduvamsha, and they established the subclans. So Ugrasen is from the Bhoja dynasty, and he's the father of Kamsa, and Kamsa removed him when he took over the throne. So considering that Kamsa was powerful and supported by Jarasan, Ugrasen has left, giving up all hopes of regaining his throne. So in the arena, the wrestling arena, where Krishna killed Kamsa, Ugrasen was personally present there. And when Krishna kills Kamsa, then Ugrasen goes to him and he pledges his allegiance to Krishna, saying that I will be there to serve you. So Krishna, however, refuses to accept the throne, and instead he establishes Ugrasen on the throne. Now the Yadus were cursed by Yayati that they could never become kings. But the Bhojas, and it's explained in Harivamsha, that it's a little complicated, that the Bhojas are related to the Yadus through a daughter. So even though they are part of the Yadus, they are considered to be separate from the Yadus. So they do not come through the parental lineage. They come through the maternal lineage. But there was a daughter who married somebody and she was adopted back by the Yadus. So she grew up in the Yadu, but she was not part of the Yadus, and they became the Bhojas. So that's why they were not under the influence of the curse of Maharaj Yayati. Verse 30. Kachit dhare somya suta sadraksha aste granani rathinam sadhu sambaha asutayam jambavati vratadaya devam bhuyam yo ambikaye rito agre. O gentle one, does Samba fare well? He exactly resembles the son of the personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva. And now he has been born in the womb of Jambavati, the most enriched wife of Krishna. So Samba, the son of Jambavati, is glorified as Kartikeya, the elder son of goddess Parvati. So factually speaking, Kartik was not born from the womb of Parvati, but only from the semen of Lord Shiva. But since Parvati is the wife of his father, she has the position of mother. So that is why he says Ambikaya, that he comes from Ambika, which is another name of Parvati. So just as Lord Shiva is an Amsha incarnation of Krishna, and since the Amsha and the Amshi are considered non-different, Lord Shiva is considered non-different from Krishna. Similarly, Kartikeya is an Amsha of Samba and is considered to be non-different from him. So another way to understand this is that Krishna is the original Avatari and he appears with all the Amshas. So in 1048-24, it is said that Lord Narayan appeared in the house of Vasudeva. Similarly, since Kartik is an Amsha of Samba and Kamdev is an Amsha of Pradyumna and Vasu is an Amsha of Udhav, one can say that they appeared all at the same time. Because when the original is appearing, the parts are also appearing. When Krishna is appearing, Lord Narayan is appearing. When Kartik is appearing, when Samba is appearing, Kartik is appearing. When Pradyumna is appearing, then Kamdev is appearing. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti says that this statement is made in the present tense. So, it is to be understood that Kartik is eternally an Amsha of Samba. So one might say that when the pastime had concluded, then Kartik went back to the heavenly planet and Samba went back to the spiritual world. But actually, Kartik is eternally a part of Samba. Therefore, Vidur making the statement in the present tense is also correct. Okay. So I'll discuss maybe two more verses and then we'll stop for discussion. Verse 31. Kshemam sakachit yudhanaste yah phaguna labda danaurasya lebhe anjasadhoksha sevayeva gatem tadiyam yatibir durapam. O Uddhav, does Yuyudhan fare well? He learned the intricacies of the military art from Arjun and attained the transcendental destination, which is very difficult to reach, even for great renouncers. So Yudhan is another name for Satyaki. And Satyaki had learned the art of warfare from, here Arjuna is mentioned as Phalgunath, as Phalguni. So he's called Phalguni because he was born in the month of Phagun, which is mid-February to mid-March. And Satyaki is probably the only warrior from the Yadu Vamsh who fought on the side of the Pandavas. Because Krishna had promised Duryodhan that I will be on the side of the Pandavas and my army will be on your side. So that's why Kritavarma, who was an associate of Krishna, he fought on the side of Duryodhana against the Pandavas. But Satyaki, he was very very attached to Arjun and very close to Krishna. So he exploits some technicality by which he shows that he is actually related to the Pandavas. I don't remember the details, but he establishes some relationship. And then he says, therefore, I'm not bound by your promise, and I can fight because I'm actually related to the Pandavas. So Vidur says that he learned the military art from Arjun and attained the transcendental destination. So Prabhupada said this does not mean that Vidur is saying that Satyaki has died. All that he is saying is that he attained bhakti. So Satyaki was famous for being very, very attached to Krishna, always ready to serve Krishna. He was a powerful Kshatriya, short-tempered, but very attached to Krishna. So Vidur is glorifying that quality of Satyaki. Okay, next verse, 32. Kachet buddha swaste anamivaste swapal kaputro bhagavat prapannaha yah Krishna padankita marga pamushushva acheshtat prema vibhinna dharya. Please tell me whether Akrura, the son of Swapalka, is doing well. He is a faultless and surrendered. He is a faultless soul surrendered unto the personality of Godhead. He once lost his mental equilibrium due to his ecstasy of transcendental love and fell down on the dust of a road which was marked with the footprints of Lord Krishna. So this is the pastime when Akrura was sent by Kamsa to get Krishna from Vrindavan. Well, actually, he was in Nandagram at the time, but from Raja. And when he entered, he saw the footprint of Krishna. And he completely fell on the ground, rolling in the dust, glorifying Krishna. So Vidur mentions him as the son of Swapalka. So he's one of the 12 sons of Swapalka and Gandhini. And when Akrura took Krishna away, it is said that he offended the gopis. Not because he took Krishna away, because that was by Krishna's desire, but because he did not stop to console the lamentation of the gopis. And because of that offense, he himself had to be separated from Krishna later on. So in the 10th canto, there is this pastime of the Shmantaka jewel. And as a result of this, it's a complicated intrigue, but Akrura took part in this, and Krishna got upset at him. So Akrura actually left Dwarka, and he stayed away in separation from Krishna until finally later on he reconciles. So in the Priti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami, he comments on this pastime of Akrura falling to the ground senseless. He says the very goal of life for all embodied beings is this ecstasy, which Akrura experienced, where upon receiving Kamsa's order, he put aside all pride, fear, and lamentation and absorbed himself in seeing, hearing, and describing the things that reminded him of Krishna. Okay, so let me stop here. see if there is any questions or comments.
Prabhu, just one comment. In the Gora Lila, we saw that Advaitacharya is an incarnation of both Lord, Vishnu and Shiva as well. And then, for example, Ramandana Rai is Arjun and Vishaka. Maybe the same thing here, Pradumya and Kamdev.
It's very similar with a slight difference that there they are incarnations of perfected beings. And here it's more of a Nitya Siddha with a conditioned soul.
The demigod and
With a demigod, yeah. So demigods they're advanced, but they're also conditioned.
Mhm.
So slight difference there, but the concept is like you're saying, it's the same, that they're considered to be combined incarnations.
Thank you, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. As you said, like the many of the yadus, they are eternal associates of Krishna, but at the same time they have the amshas of the demigods. But because being the eternal associates of the Lord, it looks unfathomable for me to think that they fought with each other at Prabhat Kshetra for dying. So is demigods playing a role? The amshas of the demigods are playing the role.
That does come up. If you hold your question, this is actually discussed in fair amount of details, I believe, either in the 3rd chapter or the 4th chapter. But there, Prabhupada explains a fair amount of details about this.
Sure, Prabhuji. And also, Prabhuji, like the personalities like Kartikeya, so being the direct expansions of the Lord's amshas, Lords like spirit in the spiritual kingdom, we can think that they are like it is possible that they are beyond modes, like just performing pastimes here in material world.
No, so like when Kamadev is mentioned, then Vishnu Chakravarti says that he's a vibhuti, which means that he embodies a certain quality, just like Brahma. Like Brahma embodies the creative quality of Krishna. It does not make Brahma beyond the modes, does not make Brahma Vishnu Tattva, still Jiva Tattvas. And still, in the cycle of, in the conditioned cycle of birth and death there. But Vibhuti, the easiest way of understanding it, there is some kind of empowerment that is offered to these positions through the eternal beings.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prabhuji, is it also right to understand that Vibhuti is just so we can understand and connect to Krishna through because it's in the material platform, so we are able to connect to Krishna through the Vibhutis?
That's one way to understand it. So this was one of the explanations that was given also, that the reason Vidur is connecting them to the demigods is because it offers a way for those who are more inclined or who are more in awe and reverence of the demigods to connect to Krishna. So the same is also applicable to vibhutis. Like in the 10th chapter, we see Krishna, he's describing his vibhutis. It gives an easy way for us to see Krishna in all that is great around us.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisance, all Krishna Maharshi Papa. I was thinking of the homework which I was working on. What do I have to do with that, Prabhu? Do I need to send it to you? Or,
Yeah, if you could send it to me, that'd be great.
okay, Prabhu. After that, first canto is done, then what should I do?
So I've given Prem Kishore Prabhu the homework questions for all the 6 cantos.
Oh,
And I think whenever you're done with whatever you are, you can ask him for the next set of questions.
okay. Thank you so much.
But thank you for working on the homework questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your explanation, Prabhu. It helps a lot. I hear that that the questions which I have, it clarifies a lot. I know it's very hard to go through each and every verse, but it's very helpful for me.
Good. Thank you.
Prem Kishore Prabhuji, did you send all of us, Prabhuji, those questions for homework?
The first ones which are already there, which I sent it out in each mail as well. But going forward, if once you're done with those, like if Premanjari Mataji has done it, so whatever next, one by one we can share it.
In
not
phases
write it
you
down.
will share, right? So first phase you emailed us, like, I saw, I generally go through the emails but couldn't find, maybe in one of the links, Prabhu, maybe you can forward.
Okay, it's in my emails every time. I can specifically note it out today. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so it looks like we can end a little early today. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhayascha kripasindhubhya eva cha pattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anand Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tagore Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.